Okay, so first things first. And I talked a little bit about this on the previous pod, but 2026 is coming, and so I want people, entities, everyone out there to not just recognize the opportunity, but to grab a hold of it. I want big and bold things done leading up to 2026. If we're not going to do it now, then when the hell are we going to do it, right? And so, I have suggested that MLS, from an acquisition standpoint, look to strategically acquire USL. And so I think the first thing that I would do is that, expanding the footprint, as we've talked about, and bringing everything and everybody, maybe more importantly, under one tent. All right. So that everybody is kind of rowing in the same direction. We talked at the beginning of the show how that's not the case necessarily right now. Now, look, there's still some boats out there that will be rowing either slower and smaller, or rowing in the absolute opposite direction, but nothing the way it is now if and when you were to bring USL into the house. Now, that doesn't necessarily do what you are asking Czar Lalas to do. So you have to look at it and say, all right, well, what needs to be done from a promotion relegation standpoint to satisfy all of the stakeholders, I guess you could call them, and the new stakeholders, let's be honest, because there's all of these new teams. Now, who knows? Maybe you buy it lock, stock, and barrel, and all the owners are gone, and it's just MLS operating it going forward. I don't know. Or maybe you bring everybody in, everybody sells, and then they sell off the teams to new owners, these new USL teams that they have. But when it comes to promotion relegation, you can, as you said, maybe you start with one of the leagues or one section of the leagues that you acquired in the terms of USL. I've already said that I think USL, regardless if it's acquired by MLS or not, should do it, and they have talked about that and certainly looked at it. And again, there is nothing stopping anybody else out there from going and implementing a promotion relegation structure. Okay, getting a bunch of teams, getting a bunch of leagues together, and having promotion relegation. And in essence, that's what you would be doing. But because what you're really doing is giving a grace period to the existing MLS owners that all bought into this with the understanding that there was not going to be the risk of relegation. Whether you agree with it or not, that's what the purchase was premised on. And you have to walk that back. And so what you're going to have to do, like I said, is give a grace period, some sort of grandfathered type of moment, whether that's 2 years, 3 years, I don't know, who knows? Maybe it leads up to 24. And as soon as 24 is done, it's back on. Now, again, this is an intra-MLS type of promotion relegation that you are having here. So a lot of people will feel that that's a bastardized version of it. But to your point, maybe you start it with the acquisition that you have just in the USL teams, I guess it would be former USL teams that you have. And you see how that goes for a couple of years. And MLS still operates in and of itself and alone in terms of relegation, but it's still under the whole MLS thing. And then I guess, all bets are off and the gate opens up, and this panacea and this magic bullet that everybody seems to believe that promotion relegation exists. And again, I know it's not in the most purest form that a lot of people want out there, but that is something that I would do. And again, this acquisition, it smothers, I don't know if it puts it out, but it certainly smothers a lot of the acrimony, a lot of, from a practical perspective, some of the potential lawsuits and problems that we have out there. And everybody starts heading again in that right direction. So again, as always, the biggest problem is going to be, how do you convince somebody that bought into the league without the fear of relegation and without the risk of relegation to voluntarily accept that risk? And the way that you do that is to make it worth their while. And when I say that, I mean money. So yes, I'm going to accept more risk, but I'm going to have more upside not just when I'm successful, but by giving to this entity that I'm now involved with by saying, okay, I will forego that risk that I mitigated by years ago when I bought into it, and I will allow you to now add that upon because I know ultimately I'm going to make more money, even with that risk of relegation.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.